Hello, hello. Wow, it's been a minute, actually. It's been like 3 months since I recorded an episode, and I know some of you have been wondering where I went, and so thank you so much. I really appreciate the concern, and for those of you who cared, but here is the truth. I have not been avoiding the podcast. I've just been feeling so ungrounded that I couldn't concentrate long enough to record. And I think that's actually the perfect place to start as we jump back in, because it says everything about where I've been moving through these past few months. So here's what's been happening. For the last few months, I've been moving around like I have been for the past 9 months of living nomadically. And while there's been a part of me that loves the freedom and the adventure of it, there's also this reality that I don't talk about enough, which is that constant movement makes it really hard to ground. And when I'm ungrounded, it's really hard to concentrate. I can't just sit down and have a deep focused conversation for my podcast. And it's not that easy to just access that part of me that wants to process and share and go deep with you. And everything just has kind of felt scattered and felt like surface level, and even when I'm trying to go deeper. So my thoughts were just all over the place. I couldn't land on what I wanted to say exactly. And I'm not willing to just show up and record something half-assed or surface level just to say I did it. This podcast just matters too much to me for that. On top of that, I did a mushroom journey a few weeks ago, and if you've ever worked with plant medicine, you know that integration is not a quick process. You don't just have the journey and then bounce back to normal life, or at least I don't. There's this period afterward where you're processing, where things are still moving through you, where you need space and stillness to actually integrate what came through. And I couldn't give myself that space because I was still moving, still traveling, still trying to maintain this nomadic lifestyle that honestly I'm starting to realize is getting exhausting, and I think coming to a close very soon. But now I'm in Sedona, and I'm here for a little bit, long enough to actually feel settled, long enough to unpack my stuff, literally and metaphorically, long enough to feel the ground beneath my feet again. And as soon as I landed here and started to feel grounded, I was like, okay, I finally feel the pull to come back to this podcast, and not because I had to, but because I finally felt like I had the capacity and the inspiration to. And I think that says everything. I think it says everything about where I've been and what I'm working through right now. So that's where I've been, ungrounded, scattered, unable to concentrate because I've been in constant motion for 9 months. And honestly, I didn't fully understand why I couldn't stop moving until I did this mushroom journey a few weeks ago. And it's interesting because I did have some idea because I did another mushroom journey probably 3 or 4 months ago now, and we did address my wounding around home, and I thought we were done with that and problem solved, but apparently in this most recent mushroom journey, we spent another whole journey discussing different wounds around home. So that's how much wounding there was that we needed 2 6-hour mushroom journeys to address this. But now, I was told in the journey, I was shown that this has been clear now at the deepest level. So hopefully we are done with that. But this most recent journey, it just cracked me wide open, as they all do. And I want to take you through it because I think the lessons here go way beyond just me. That's why I share everything with you guys, because it's not just about me. You guys can definitely resonate with a lot of the things that I go through. We're all connected, and I feel like the more people share, the more you realize that. So if you've ever felt like you can't settle down, or if you've ever tried to control your way into the life you want, if you've ever thought a new place or a new relationship or more money would finally make you feel at home, this is definitely for you. So I go into my journey and I'm asking my usual questions. I'm like, where should I live? Should I go to Florida where my dad is? Or what's next for me? And I was being very practical, very give me the roadmap energy, and very Virgo. I'll just leave it at that, which I am a Virgo. And the medicine just stops me and they tell me that I'm stubborn. And I'm like, yeah, I know, I get it. So anyway, where should I live? And lovingly, they're like, okay, the fact that you keep asking that after we're telling you this tells us you're not listening to anything we're saying. And I just sat with that because they were right. I was so focused on getting the answer that I wanted that I completely missed what they were trying to show me. It really reflected to me how much I've just been in this stubborn go, go, go. I need to find this. I need to find it now, rushing energy. And the stubbornness is not just a personality trait. It's not just me being independent or strong-willed. The stubbornness, what I was shown, is suffocating my life from the inside out. They showed me this image that when I try to control things and when I try to grasp at things, it suffocates the opportunity. Trying to hold on to something so tightly that you kill it. This was the metaphor that they were using. But the stubbornness, they showed me that that's different. that's not just suffocating opportunities, that's suffocating everything. And it's ruining things from the inside. So basically, just to clarify, they were just showing, because they said this was important, they wanted to show me the difference between controlling and being stubborn. So they said controlling is ruining opportunities, but stubbornness is ruining everything from the inside out. And I really had to sit with that, because how many times have I dug my heels in about something just because I decided this is how it's going to be? And how many times have I missed something because I was too stubborn to see another way? Like, just let that land, you know? So I kept kind of arguing with them about this because, again, I am stubborn, and they were reflecting that to me. And finally, they were like, all right, listen, we've already tried your way and it's not working. So how about we try another way? And when they said it, it just hit so hard, because they're right. Like, my way clearly hasn't been working, and yet I keep trying to force it. So I love that they phrased it in that way. But then the journey went deeper, as it does. They showed me an image of New York, which is where I'm from and where I grew up. And I have to be honest with you, I don't like talking about New York. I left when I was 23, and I haven't really gone back too much, at least for the past 8 years. When I was 23, I moved to California, and I just kind of moved on, or at least I thought I did. Growing up in New York, or at least at that time when I was 20, 21, 22, 23, I felt like it was just a really dark time for me. I was very angry and impatient and miserable, and I didn't like the person I was there. And when I moved to California, it felt like freedom. I could finally breathe. I could finally become who I was meant to be. It was literally one of the best years of my life was when I moved to California. And it just completely changed who I was, and in my opinion, for the better. But in the journey, they, of course, showed me something that I did not want to see. They said, how do you think you're going to find a home when you abandoned your original home and where you came from? And I tried to argue with them. I was like, but I had to leave, and the place wasn't good for me. I need to get out. And then the message I heard was, yes, but you didn't just leave physically. You literally tried to kill off a part of yourself. You just turned your back on it. You decided you weren't going back, and you never processed any of it. And what they showed me and made me realize is that every place I've lived since New York, I've done the same thing. I'll go somewhere, and if I don't like something about it after a while, I just leave. I don't process it. I don't face what happened. I just move on to the next place thinking that it's going to be different. But of course it's not, because I'm bringing this pattern with me everywhere I go. And the saying, wherever you go, there you are. So they showed me this image of all the places I've lived. And here's the thing that really got me. By leaving New York the way I did, by abandoning it without processing it, they said I haven't been able to feel at home anywhere since, and that I've been looking for home in all of these external places, but I can't find it because I never dealt with the first home that I left. And they even told me, they were like, we don't even have to get into why you left. It was just how you left is the issue. You just packed up and left. And they were like, that's not what you do. And it was funny because when they first showed me New York, they were like, did you really just think that you were going to pack up and leave your whole life behind and you never have to face it again? And I was like, yes. And they're like, wrong-o. So I'm like, all right, 15 or so years later, here we are. So after all of that, they showed me this pattern that I've been running my whole life, which is that I keep expecting external things to save me. And of course, if you were to ask me, do I think that previously, I would have said no, because this was not conscious. But it's places specifically that I keep apparently thinking will save me. And they kept showing me how I kept moving back from California to New York, kind of like a pinball machine, bouncing back and forth between them, thinking one of them will finally be the answer. But they said it's never about the place. It's about what I'm running from and what I'm running towards. And they even showed me that they were like, well, why did you even leave New York? Why did you even want to go to California? And I was like, well, because I wanted a new life, and I had always wanted to live in California, and that was a dream to me. And they brought up that they kind of compared it to an addict. They were like, why does an addict use? It's to escape. And they were like, that's what you were doing with California. You were using it as an escape to leave your life in New York. And that's so true. I mean, of course, not consciously, I didn't realize that, but when they said that, it just really hit me. So they ultimately said, if you're chasing something outside of you to make you happy, it's not going to end well. And that hit me so hard again, because that's exactly what I've been doing, not just with places, but I just think that with money and success and all these other things, just trying to build this life. And it was interesting because I did sell my house in Sedona about 3 years ago because I was offered a lot of money for it. And I felt like that would really open up a lot of things for me and change things, which, don't get me wrong, it did. And I thought that having that financial freedom would make me feel secure, which it definitely did to an extent. It still does. But they showed me that I kind of gave up this internal sense of home for an external sense of home. And they said you gave up your home to have money so you could discover how to actually have a home. Basically, the universe took away the external version of home so I could learn what home actually is, which is crazy. And what they kept showing me throughout this whole entire journey is the theme that home is a feeling, not a location. They showed me these places that I've always loved, like Sedona, Monument Valley, Moab, places where I feel expansive, held, nurtured by the land, places where I have no heaviness from past stuff and where I can actually relax. And oh yeah, I love those places because they're quiet and they're isolating. And they were like, no, that's not why you like it. You like it because it feels like home. And they were like, that's how home should feel. That feeling is the baseline. So they were like, just you can stop asking about the location, about the state, about if it has this, if it has that. They were like, use how you feel when you're there. Whether you live there or not is up to you. But they were like, that's the feeling that you should orient towards. And that's what should determine whether or not you live somewhere. And I cannot tell you how helpful that was because I kept thinking, what's going to anchor me? What am I looking for? And once they said the feeling of that, I'm like, okay, that makes so much sense. And of course, they also mentioned again this guidance of anytime you're in a place where you'll get too caught up in external things, it's going to be a problem. So it's not about finding the perfect place. It's about finding places where I can stay connected to that internal feeling of home and where I'm not abandoning myself to chase something external. So here's what I'm working with now, just a few weeks later. I need to stop being so stubborn. I need to be open to things happening in ways that I didn't plan and to trust the timing instead of to force my timeline on everything. That was actually, I forgot to mention this, but this was like one of the very first things that I was shown and told in the journey. They said that the universe has a pace and a tempo and that things are always moving and working out in the background of your life that you don't even know about, and to trust that more, because when you try to just force your will or your way or your vision so strongly and not make room for universal help, you're really going to miss out. And it's just crazy because I always know that concept. I'm always like, yeah, let's co-create with the universe. I'll do half, you do half. But apparently what they were showing me is that what I think is half is way more than half. It's not leaving any room. So although was stubborn during the entire journey, I felt like I was a horse that they were trying to break, which they did successfully, because by the end of it, I don't feel that way anymore. And I do feel like surrendering and going with the flow. And they really drilled this whole stubborn issue in and drove it home. And so I am very, very self-aware now about it. They also said that I need to let people help me. They showed me this pattern where I haven't really worked with people a lot because, in my business, I don't really need to. And I always do everything myself. And that is not what I should continue to do. They also mentioned that I need to stop forcing and rushing and controlling things because, again, the whole suffocating thing. And just to give you an example with that, one of the things that I wanted to mention to you guys, if you follow me or not, but I wrote a book proposal a year ago to try to get a book deal about how I overcame the deadliest form of breast cancer, which I was diagnosed with back in 2019. I did it without doing chemo or radiation, but I did do a double mastectomy, and then I healed the rest naturally, spiritually, energetically, emotionally. And so the book proposal is all about that and how to really just listen to your intuition over everything and to listen to your body and your own guidance, even if everyone around you is telling you something different. And at the time, I was just constantly pitching to agents because that is what you have to do in order to start the book deal process. Is step one is you need to get an agent. And so I think I really overdid it though on the pitching to people. I kind of felt like, okay, well, it's a numbers game, right? So why don't I just keep going? Eventually, a few months later, I just stopped because I felt like I didn't really like that process. It didn't resonate with me. And I just let it go. And then 6 months later, the opportunity actually just showed up at my door and I was offered a literary agent. And so they were showing me that when I was being stubborn and trying to force it, it wasn't happening. But that once I let it go, I had the opportunity returned to me. And it was actually an opportunity that was better than what I ever could have imagined. So they were mentioning how the whole book situation taught me that when I let go, it came back with more ease and support. And they said it's the same thing with getting a home. I need to let it go and trust that it will come in its own time. I need to stop forcing it. And lastly, I feel like the biggest theme was they were saying to remember that home is a feeling, not a location. I need to feel into where I am, not just pick a place externally and then expect it to save me. So this is a glimpse. This is a glimpse into why I could not record the podcast. And this is why I have felt so ungrounded, because I've been running this pattern of constant movement for 9 months. But really, I've been running it my whole life since I left New York at 23. And now I'm here in Sedona, and I'm actually staying for a little bit, long enough to feel what it's like not to run, long enough to integrate what came through in that journey. And it is uncomfortable. My nervous system already is, let's leave. It's getting boring or it's getting quiet, but my stubbornness wants to decide where I'm going next, and my control wants to have the plan figured out, but I'm trying something different. I'm trying to just be here, to feel what home feels like and not to grasp at the next thing. And that's why I can finally record this podcast, because I'm grounded enough to show up, because I'm staying long enough to actually be present. And I've also been looking at some properties here again, so I'm really excited about that. But that's what the mushroom journey showed me, and I'm still in it. I'm still integrating. I'm still learning how to not be so stubborn, how to let go of control, how to stop looking for external things to save me. But I wanted to share this with you because I think so many of us are doing this. We're looking for the perfect place, the perfect relationship, the perfect amount of money, thinking that that's what's going to make us feel at home. But home is not out there. It's in here. And that's the hardest and most important work we can do. And I think this is what's actually missing in the healing and spiritual space right now. We see people's breakthroughs. We see their before and after. We see them on the other side, polished and packaged, ready to teach us what they've learned. But we don't see the middle. We don't see the part where you're actively working through something and it's messy and you don't have the answers yet. We don't see the part where you're teaching this work and also desperately needing this work at the same time. And I think that's actually where the real medicine is. It's in the middle, in the mess. And I'm still in the I'm figuring this out honesty. And I think that's what makes me good at the work that I do and being a shamanic guide, because I have been through so many things. And then when I go through these things and work through it and really dive deep, I'm able to help you through this as well, because I've been there. So I'm glad that I'm just recording this now without having a final answer for you, because if I were to wait to have this all figured out to record this episode, I would just be continuing this pattern, and that's not real. That's not healing. So I'm back. I'm messy. I'm in the middle of the hardest work I've done, and I'm going to show you, and I've been showing you what that actually looks like over the next 2 episodes, through my social media, through everything I always show up and talk about. So if you've been avoiding something in your life, like a conversation, a project, a healing process, showing up somewhere you used to show up, I get it. I see you, and I'm right there with you. But I also want to offer you this. What if the messy middle is exactly where you need to show up? What if waiting until you have it figured out means you never show up at all? Because I know I don't have this figured out, but I'm here, and for me, that's enough. So thank you for still being here, and thank you for letting me be human, and thank you for being willing to walk through the mess with me. If you guys have any questions about anything at all, please feel free to DM me, email me, message me, anything. My inbox is always open. So I will see you guys in the next episode.